Progress Wrestling, Chapter 44. Fresh off the WWE UK tournament, and we got a lot of debuts on this show. We got JD McDonagh, we got Session Moth Martina, we got Bob Seeger. Hey, do you know what the British call cigarettes? Well, it's a lot of those chants on this show. But amidst the salty language, amidst the sketchy religious imagery, that is... it's quite a choice. Amidst all of that, there's some great wrestling on this show. British Strong Styles here. Let's get into it, baby. Sit right there. Grab yourself a cup of tea and some beans or whatever the fuck you guys eat over there. And take a listen to the Apron Bump Podcast.
Yeah. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How's everybody doing today? Happy Rumble Fallout week. How's everybody doing? How's everybody? Everybody got a grip on themselves? Man, boy howdy. What a world this pro wrestling world is. You know what I'm saying? I talk a lot about it, by the way, but shout out, first of all, not to start out with a plug. Normally you don't start with, actually normally you would start with a butt plug, I guess, right? That's the whole thing. So I guess it applies. To start out with a butt plug here. As of this recording, I did my first regularly, it's not my first live stream, but it's the first of many to come regularly throughout the week. Last Sunday night, still on my YouTube if you want to check it out. Talked about Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, as well as other stuff. We talked about music and wrestling, and we also played a little SmackDown 2 on the PS1. So we had a lot of fun, and we'll be doing that every Sunday night. So make sure you're following me on YouTube. Also be streaming on Twitch and TikTok and X and all that stuff. So subscribe wherever you watch that kind of stuff and check it out. While I'm just plugging away here, join the Discord. That's in the description as well. Follow me on all the social medias. You know what to do. Hey, we're here to talk about Progress Wrestling, Chapter 44. And it was a doozy. It was a doozy occurring in February of 2017. So we're still relatively fresh off of the UK tournament that WWE put on. And there's a lot of ramifications on this chapter that we're about to talk about. May or may not have the UK belt present. May or may not have certain matches that play upon what happened in the tournament. We'll get into all of it. But like I said before, a lot of fun debuts on this show. We're entering a fun period for Progress, I think. We'll see how they react from all of the added eyes, I guess, that I would assume are on the product at this point after that tournament. So it's a very interesting time for Progress, if nothing else. We got a big 6-man tag in the main event that has a lot of Progress title ramifications. We got more Origin lore. The Origin is still crumbling, and it hurts my soul. It hurts my soul, but we'll get into it. Pastor William E versus Sebastian, that continues, but it's finally pretty damn good. I can't wait to talk about it. We got Swerve Strickland's here. Jordan Devlin debuts. We got the women's tournament for the first ever women's champion in Progress continuing. There's a lot going on. A lot going on this show, and I can't wait to get into it with my guest, Matt Ritter from the Smackin It Raw podcast, returning to the show. Always a good old time with my boy, Pretty Ritty. You can check out the Smackin It Raw podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as live on YouTube, Twitch, all that stuff. Creation World is the umbrella in which Smackin It Raw is beneath, as well as Getting Off and all this stuff. Creation Conversations. You can check it out. All of this will be in the description below. But if you like wrestling and you like having fun listening about wrestling, it doesn't get any better than the Smackin It Raw podcast. So check it out every week, several times a week now. They'll do review shows after every Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and also pay-per-views as well. So go check that out. I was on recently to cover a SmackDown a few weeks ago. So if nothing else, check that out. He's a good boy, handsome man, and a big, thick wiener on that fella. So this is a fun one because sometimes with these Progress episodes, I bring in experts. I bring in people that have seen all of the chapters. that are completely caught up. Sometimes I have even people that were in progress on this show to talk about it. But sometimes I like to bring in people cold. I like to present progress wrestling to somebody that's never watched it before, and that's what this episode is. Matt was a big NXT UK guy, so he's not completely in the dark, but it was a fun talk. It was fun showing somebody this product for the first time, and there's a lot to get into. I keep saying that, but there is. I'm not lying to you. With that, I'll stop babbling. Let's get into the episode, baby. Progress Wrestling, Chapter 44, with myself and Matt Ritter from the Smackin It Raw podcast. And then I forgot it was a 60-man Smasher Pass, which is pretty legendary. People still talk about it to this day.
So we're recording now, which means this officially means...
Well, you got to get through the whole card, actually.
I got to get through the whole card.
Yeah. You got to make
so
you can't just show up.
What you're saying is I have to wait to put this on my shoulder.
That's not what the I
can't.
The apron bump budget does not have enough to send people belts for their.
Don't let them lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first official apron bump Grand Slam champion, Matt Ritter.
I mean, there may or may not be another symbol of this feat later. So just hold your horses for a second.
I love feet pics.
I mean, I could also send you that. Kind of unrelated.
Oh, that's not what you were talking about. Oh, okay.
I have awful feet, so you don't want that. I have double jointed toes, and they're kind of hairy.
That sounds hot.
It could be, depending on what you're into. But you know what else is hot?
Progress?
Yeah. Oi. That's Australian, but there's some Australians on the show, I think. But
lots of cunts and twats and all sorts of fun language in the crowd tonight.
Oh, I didn't know if you were just talking about the people, calling them cunts and twats. I was like, oh, you've already a different person after watching this show, man. Gotta love it. What were your initial thoughts? Just unload on me.
So I looked at the card ahead of time and I recognized a lot of names, and I follow the show, so I knew that we are kind of right at the beginning of NXT UK. Obviously, the champions there, things like that.
We're a week out, like a month out of the UK tournament, that initial one.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed NXT UK. I watched it probably up until like they had their little hiatus during the pandemic, and then when they came back, I fell off a little bit and then it disappeared. But I recognized a lot of names. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. It was cool to see them slightly earlier than I had seen them when they showed up for the tournament and shit like that, and see what else they were doing. But I was sad I didn't get the Shield. I missed out on a lot. I told you I was sad Tommy End wasn't here.
Well, the Shield was there. It was there briefly. You may have missed it.
I must have missed the tag team Shields.
So the Shields are currently held by Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and they don't like the Shields. They think it's stupid. So when they walked out on the stage, they had them, but then they dropped it and then walked away.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I did not see that somehow.
They didn't they didn't do the thing, they didn't scissor them, but they had them.
I saw Tyler with his belt, and I saw Peter chewing on his, as he tends to do.
Gross.
But no, I mean, I really enjoyed the show. There was a lot of good wrestling. I have a favorite match. I'm sure you have an idea of what my favorite match was.
Did it make you touch yourself?
Well, two of the matches made me touch myself. So there's
okay. I see. Actually, it could be one of two. I don't know. I guess we'll get into it.
It could be one of two.
Yeah, it could be a tie. No, it was a good show. I mean, from somebody who's been watching all these chapters chronologically, it was a solid show. I looked at the card, and it wasn't like a crazy card or anything, but in watching the show, it was a very pleasant watch. And not all of these shows are, but there was some good stuff on here, and they got some good story beats that may or may not have been lost on you. But I guess we'll get into that. But so
what's with the homemade anti-piracy video?
Don't be a dick, man. You wouldn't steal the pastor's Bible. You wouldn't steal Ginny's handbag, so you're not going to steal.
I might steal Ginny. Well, no, she's with Gunther, so no, you're right. I probably wouldn't, just because
you don't want to do that now.
No.
This is Big Boy Walter too. Yeah.
I don't think they were together back then.
Probably not. But yeah, I don't know. People were torrenting these shows, I would assume, or on fucking Billy or whatever was on Tout. Maybe people were watching this, but yeah.
When was this? 2000
2017, early 2017.
2017. Okay, yeah. So all the stuff that I used to torn on was pretty much dead at that point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess I don't know what it would have been on. Something. I mean, I guess you didn't. I guess I sent you a link to watch it, so I guess you were maybe being a dick, but I forced the dick on you. I forced it in you without your consent.
We have known each other for years, and very early on in our relationship, I gave you full consent, so there was never any forcing.
Oh, okay. So just from here on out, unless
you have
otherwise.
Consent. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
That's good to know. I'll try to catch you when you can't say anything, can't say no. That actually plays into a later match, but so you turn on this show, you open up to the Electric Ballroom in Camden, London, and then we have this little shtick from Jim Smallman, who's the owner and also the ring announcer of Progress. What'd you think of the opening banter? You know, getting a gauge of who's first time for Progress, or who's here for the first time, all that stuff.
So I didn't understand a lot of what he was saying. However, he reminds me of British Matt Rife. Like, he was doing a lot of crowd work. You know,
he is a comedian.
I was going to say, I literally have here, never seen amateur comedian Jim Smallman before. Lots of crowd work, British Matt Rife. Those are the notes that I took.
Right.
So
I can see it.
He seemed cool. Like I said, I wasn't understanding a lot of what between the accent and the audio. I was missing some things there, but he had the crowd in the palm of his hand. They really loved him. I've never seen a promoter be a ring announcer before, so that was also when I figured out that's what was happening. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I do like that he dressed down. He wasn't like out there in a corporate suit and shit trying to be like,
right,
you know. But yeah, no, he was cool. They really love Metallica over there. Apparently, there was a lot of Metallica on the show.
Some covers, even. I mean, geez, love it.
Well, so Metallica is technically the cover
of Turn the Page.
Yes,
the
original is Bob Seeger. Yeah,
was that what Ligero came out to?
Ligero came out to Bob Seeger.
Oh, look at that! Learn something new every day.
What can I say?
Well, that brings us to the opening match here. We got James Drake taking on Damon Moser. So James Drake is fresh off the NXT UK tournament. I believe he was in the first one, right? Or was it the second one he was in? Yeah, the first one.
He might have been in the first one. I know his future tag team partner,
Zach Gibson,
won the second one.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So he might have been, maybe it was the second one. I don't know.
But
he looked like tiny little Drew McIntyre's moody little brother.
Sad boy James Drake. Yeah, he does have a little bit of a Drew McIntyre. He's more grungy than Drew. Less leather, more denim.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. Your hair in front of his face. You don't understand him kind of thing. I mean, it's interesting seeing him without Zach Gibson, but I feel like that's really where he finds his groove is once they team up. But Damon Moser is still kind of like an up-and-coming guy. He's out of their dojo they have, their in-house like training school. And it's a pretty quick match here. I don't know. What were your thoughts on your first Progress match?
Well, I've never seen or heard of Damon Moser before. So I don't think he made it over to NXT UK. I was not familiar.
I don't think so.
The crowd really liked him though. I was trying to figure out what his panties said. They said "Fear no foe."
Is that what it said? I thought it said "Fear no one," but it didn't look like one. So
Fear no foe. And then in quick match, seemed kind of unceremonious with Drake getting the win with the DDT out of nowhere. So, like, again, I was introduced to NXT UK in British Strong style. So, like, I had seen what I kind of expected this show to be. And then right out the gate, like you said, quick match, quick finish, on out. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's a way to start a show, I guess.
Yeah, they don't do quick matches like this a lot in Progress. So I was actually pretty surprised because, you know, Drake hits the old Pearl Harbor job right out the gate. Then Moser tries to fight back. It's a knee trembler, but then James Drake just comes right back with his, he calls it Mayhem DDT or some shit. And Moser is kind of like, I don't want to say he's a jobber, but he kind of is at this point. Okay. So I wasn't too surprised, but we'll see if anything comes of that. But Yeah, I'm a big James Drake guy. I think he's
Yeah.
fun to watch. You know, he just needs a little something. I don't know if the emo boy Jimmy is going to do it, but some people like it.
Do you think in now looking, 7 years, 8 years now in the future, James Drake has lived up to the potential that you see in him in 2017 as a grizzled young veteran?
I mean, I think he's reached higher heights in GYV than he ever would have as a singles guy. So
Okay.
I would say yes. No, there's no slight on him, but I think I think I love GYV. So
yeah.
But that brings us to some ladies. We got the Natural Progression Series tournament continuing, which is so traditionally the Natural Progression Series is like newer wrestlers, up and coming wrestlers that you may not have heard about. And then generally the winner gets a title match at some point. Now, this one is the 4th time they've done this tournament, and it is to crown the first ever Progress Women's Champion.
I caught that. And I was confused at first because I thought they were saying this was the championship match. Right. And then I realized that this was part of the tournament to crown the champion.
It's the last quarterfinal match of the tournament. So we got Talia Black taking on a debuting Session Moth Martina.
Big fan.
I figured you might be. Well, what is it that you enjoy about the Session Moth?
I'm vaguely familiar with her. Again, I've always said things outside of the WWE/AEW scope and New Japan and indie shit. Like, I'm vaguely familiar with it. Pops up, I see it, stuff like that. So I've been vaguely familiar with her. I've never actually seen her wrestle a full-on match. This was my first full-on match, but I kind of had an idea of what the gimmick was and what I was in store for. It was so much more than I could have ever hoped, though. I've got more notes for this than I have for any other match that we watched. This was my favorite match. Also, Black Dahlia. So this Black Dahlia, I don't think is wrestling, but I do follow the Chainsaw Queen Black Dahlia on Instagram, who's another independent wrestler who is a big fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So taking my two favorite things and scissoring them together, wrestling and horror movies. I did. So like the crowd really seemed to know who Session Moth Martina was. So I don't know why Jim Smallman took so much time to like educate them on when to wait to use their glow sticks. I
think he didn't want them glow sticking out to James Drake. I think that's the thing, because wrestling fans can be stupid sometimes. So you gotta like spoon feed them a little bit.
But he was just like, so you have glow sticks, and when the time comes, you use the glow sticks and you crack the glow sticks, but don't just wait. And then right beforehand, he's like, okay, so now the time is coming to use the glow sticks. I'm like, I think we could have figured that from the fucking club vibe. But
right.
Who's TK Cooper? Obviously, it's Black Dahlia's boyfriend, because like the whole dynamic of their group with Travis Banks seemed weird because they love Travis Banks, but they hate these two.
That's a point of turmoil right now. So it's the South Pacific Power Trio is the group. Okay. So they're all from New Zealand. They were all heels. They came in as heels. First, it was just TK and Dahlia. Then Travis Banks came later. But Travis Banks has been like naturally gaining a lot of popularity within the independent scene just because people enjoy watching him wrestle. So this show was the first step in what I'm assuming is a babyface turn for Travis Banks, which we'll touch on more later. But they're also the number one contenders. TK and Travis Banks are the number one contenders for the tag titles. So I'm sure once they get their title match, they'll probably have some sort of kerfuffle and who knows. Okay. But I think we're in the process of them breaking up is what I'm saying.
But I mean, for everything that I want, I couldn't have got more, right? So Black Dahlia and TK Cooper come down and they're basically dry humping the entire way down to the ring. Like they're kissing, they're straddling each other. I'm pretty sure she grabbed his dick. Like
while TK stares at the camera as he's doing it too, which is
exactly something. Like right in my eyes, which I appreciate eye contact.
Don't like that. Don't like that. No. Okay, that's fair.
Session Moth Martina is essentially British Snooki.
British Snooki, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the gimmick, sloppy drunk rave girl gimmick. She was grinding on Jim Smallman and on the ref. I'm assuming he's not Smallman anymore. After that,
talking about his penis. We're talking about his penis.
Yes, I was talking about his penis. There was a "She's Got Kids" chant, and according to Smallman, she had 36 children currently.
She gets after it. Just the
Yeah,
word on the
so
street.
you know she puts out. You know, with 36 kids, there's really no denying it at that point.
She
I feel
puts
like
it.
you could argue at about 30, like maybe she might be approved. But once you get past 30 children, then there's no more argument.
Right.
Martina slaps then planches and rides TK during the match.
By the way, people, this sounds like Matt is just bantering right now, but that's actually what happened. Yes.
Yeah, no, she slapped him and then she planched onto him and then started riding him on the floor. And Black Dahlia did not like that. And I don't know, she kind of looked like a girl that might be into, I don't know. Anyway, she also kisses him. So she's kind of been obsessed with TK the entire time, which might have led to her downfall here in this match, you know, not focusing on where she needed to. But outside of that, outside of the incredible Bronco Buster that she gave Dahlia in
the Toxic Shock Bronco Buster, you mean?
Yes, love that. Yeah. Big fan of that. Let me get one of those. Like they really actually like they wrestled. They're good spots. They kicked ass. There was a don't waste beer chant. The chants are the best part of these shows. They always have been for me.
Right.
Spitting beer in Dahlia's face, TK Cooper interfering and punching cracked her.
He has that right hand nailed between the sound and the effect. I mean, it looks so good.
Yeah. So no, my only complaint is I'm not a fan of short overalls or short veralls, whatever.
I'm not dungarees. Is that what they're called? That's what other people have called them.
It's like a jumper, right? Accurate. No.
It's like a onesie almost.
Hold on.
But it's overalls.
What do you call overalls that are shorts? A romper. Yeah, not a fan of male rompers.
I don't know if that's I mean, I have a pair of overalls that are short, and I wouldn't call it a romper. But maybe it's like a form of romper. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Somebody call in if you know.
Not a fan of his romper, and he had two of them. He had a white pair and a black pair.
Well, what happens if you get something on your white pair? You got to change. You can't just have no romper. He's prepared. He's been here before. But yeah, it's actually a pretty. I mean, I was very entertained by this from start to finish, and along with this timeline, I've been watching a lot of OTT, over the top wrestling from Ireland, and Martina's huge over there, of course, because she's Irish. And if you ever watch an OTT show, like half of it is like this vibe. It's dancing, it's clubby, it's silly characters, and Martina just fits in so well. So I've seen her wrestle, if you want to call it that, in OTT, but this is the first time I've ever seen her. Like, this is the most, like, almost, even to call this a serious match is kind of silly, but like, this is the most action that I've seen from Martina, like bell to bell. And plus the character work, I mean, I was into it. I didn't like Martina at first when I first saw her in OTT. I thought she was annoying, but I don't know, it worked for me here. So
I can see why you'd feel that way. I could see how this character would come off obnoxious and silly and kind of like a waste of time. But like you said, coming in, being familiar with what the character was and kind of knowing what I was going to get, and then seeing it work, like you said, in this match where I guess this is the most match you've seen out of her, I think it worked great. And she should do more of that then.
Right. Yeah. No, she was just wrestling for Progress in current day. So she sticks around.
Oh, it's still around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very different, but it's still around.
Okay. Is Jim Smallman still running shit?
No, he actually ended up going to WWE. I think he was a writer for NXT UK and then moved over to NXT.
Okay.
Once that, but I think he just resigned, within the past month or so. So yeah, he ended up moving on up and he left eventually, but yeah, he's not there anymore. Maybe he'll come back one day. Who knows? But yeah, it was, so first of all, just got to note this part early in the match. Martina gets gassed, so she needs a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to smoke the cigarette, but Dahlia stops her. She has another one. Dahlia stops her again. And the crowd wants one more of these cigarettes. But that's not what they chanted.
No, that's not, because that's not what they call a cigarette over there across the pond.
No. So this is the first time I've heard that chant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in this context, it's fine. If it was like during the Jack Sexsmith match, I'd be like, whoa, easy.
I was literally going to say, I thought Jack Sexsmith was going to come out at this point when they started chanting.
you rang? Everybody look up what cigarettes are called in Britain and you'll understand. But if you already don't. But yeah, good stuff. Dahlia wins, moves on to the semis. So there's 6 people now that have moved on. So I'm assuming it's like 2 triple threat matches and then the finals, but I'm not really sure. Or somebody get a bye? I don't know.
6-way orgy.
Could be that. I wouldn't
Winners
put
head
it
dog.
past. Who do you think would win the orgy? Okay, so here's the 6. So we got Dahlia Black, a lady you might not know, Laura De Matteo, Tegan Knox, Alex Windsor, Ginny, and Tony Storm. Who's winning that 6-way orgy?
Storm will go on to be NXT UK Women's Champion.
Yes.
Ginny?
She's a feisty one. I think she would take it too seriously and but end up winning. She would enter.
Okay.
I mean, Tegan Knox would obviously end up injured after the fact, right? We all know this.
Story of her career.
Exactly. It's the precursor to the rest of her career. But so once the orgy comes up, I'll let you know and I'll bring you back on and we can do the deep dive on it, so to speak.
Fuck yeah.
But man, from an orgy to a big head, we got Jordan Devlin taking on Travis Banks.
The Kiwi Buzzsaw.
The Kiwi Buzzsaw and Devlin's Progress debut, which is very interesting. Also coming off that UK tournament.
They didn't like him back then. They still don't like him now.
I didn't realize his head was so infamous even back then.
Yeah, right? Like, this guy has been getting harassed about the size of his head because we call him JD McFunko Pop. We call him all sorts of shit,
Right.
you know? No, he's been getting shit about his head his entire life. And
I thought this was just like a recent meme, but no, I guess it's entire life.
if anything, I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for his mom. I hope that was a C-section.
Man. Or blame his dad, maybe.
Possibly.
Or whoever goes into, I don't know. But yeah, the crowd was none too pleased, or they were none too kind with his head. Did you catch any of the chants towards his skull size?
And the reason I love this is because, like, when they do their chants, it's not like how we chant, where it's always kind of like the same cadence and it's like 4 words, blah, blah, blah. Like, they sing songs to you, and the way they do it is just brilliant. So one of them was "You're Gonna Get Your Massive Head Kicked In," which was one of my favorites. And then I just massive head chants. That was the only one that I wrote down just because of how good it sounds when they sing chants to you, and that was a long one to make work.
Yeah, whenever I like hear these crowds, I have the same feeling that I get when I'm like at a bar and people start square dancing. It's like, when do you guys practice this? Do you guys all get together and like orchestrate all of this? But yeah, they were doing the "your head's too big for you, your head's too big for you," like shit like that. It was just sensational stuff.
I think it's like, so they go to the bar, they drink, they get drunk, and they all sing together. Like we do karaoke, and they sing together. I literally watched Beer Fest today, and they had the Brits on there doing their thing, and everyone has like their songs, and then they get to America, and America's like 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and then they're like, "You making fun of us? We're singing you our drinking songs, and that's the best you've got." But so maybe that's why we don't get it. We don't get together and just sing together. And so they get in big crowds and they sing, and this is, it's natural.
They got the tempo down. They got it figured out there. But at some point, a wrestling match happens. And we talked about it earlier, Travis Banks, he comes out with TK Cooper, and he's like, no, TK, I'm going to do this on my own. So he's going out there with none of his faction mates out there. And so it's just a straight up one-on-one match. But I thought it was a good match. I feel like we've seen this a bunch of times in NXT UK. So it was fun to see like an early iteration of this. They were playing. So I guess you might remember more than that. In that initial UK tournament, Jordan Devlin beat Danny Burch. I remember it being like a wonky finish. Didn't he like legit knock him out or something with a kick?
Yeah, something like that.
So they're playing off of that here, where like they're chain wrestling or whatever, and then they're at a stalemate, and Banks extends his hand to shake his hand, and then Devlin shakes it, but then he comes right back with an enziguri to the back of the head, and then from that point forward, Banks is like all wobbly, and he's like concussed, or he's selling like he's concussed. So I like that little bit of a kind of a callback to the tournament. I Now, anything but in particular about this match tickle your pickle?
TK Cooper changed his romper. Now he came out in black. It wasn't white. So this is where that happened. This is where I first noticed that the crowd loved Travis Banks, and that's why I was like, okay, so they're together, but this doesn't make sense. Banks knocked Devlin into the third row. And something I realized watching Progress is if you want to be smeared by half-naked, sweaty men, you only need to get tickets in the first 3 rows. And there is a good chance that 1, if not 2, 3, or 4 half-naked, sweaty men will slam into and slide across you. So if that's your goal in wrestling, that's where you want to sit.
They might take your beer, but you'll get some of that DNA on you.
But yeah, no. Banks knocked Devlin in the third row with a diving spear through the ropes, which was insane. And then the slice of heaven, that springboard spin kick.
Yes, I forgot that was his finisher.
Win. Yeah, me too. Because again, after the speaking out movement and everything that happened to NXT UK, a lot of those guys just kind of
right. Which is Travis Banks is one of those guys. It's like, can you just? I wish you weren't a dick. Like, you're so fun to watch in the ring, and I just wish you were just a good dude.
I feel like that about a lot of guys, including one of my favorite characters on the show that I went and looked up. And
half this card.
Yeah.
But in the context of this match, it was fun to watch. And like you said, Devlin, first of all, he pulls out like a mirror image of Finn Balor's like dive over the top rope, which is funny. He's just a little Finn with the spread arms, but he hit it. He hit it well. But then, slice of heaven kick gets Travis Banks the win. And TK and Dahlia come out, and the crowd kind of like tempers their cheers. So I guess that'll be a point of contention between them at some point, or at least I'm assuming it will be. So it's a fun match, though. Fun match. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
no, it was real good.
But then we got Sebastian. Sebastian comes out. So Sebastian comes out. What are your initial thoughts? Like, what comes to mind as soon as it comes to that curtain?
I mean, you think of why am I blanking on his name? Ethan Page.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
You know, maybe early LA Knight, like that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. Like a frat guy, like a guy that is in a frat and thinks he's like a big deal, but he's not really, kind of, which falls into Ethan Page too. So I mean, it makes sense.
That's not what I cared about though. Like, I loved them chanting and all this. I didn't think I was going to. I am a huge fan of Pastor William Evers.
Bill Ever.
Bill
Ever. Do you get it? William Ever. Bill Ever.
Yep.
He's Jesus.
I loved the whole gimmick. I loved everything that he did, except for the fact that he did not do the crucifix powerbomb for his finish.
So he does do that, actually. He just did not hit it in this match.
Okay.
Very funny.
Because I saw him hit it, and then he comes back and he does something else, and I'm like, well, why would you not?
The clothesline from heaven is generally how he finishes matches. Typically, it's a cross powerbomb and then the clothesline, but it was just a clothesline here.
I still just prefer. So, fun fact, we've talked a lot. Back in the day, I used to backyard wrestle, and we used to come up with all sorts of characters and everything. And me and Travis both went to a private grade school, like a Christian non-denominational grade school. So we came up in religion a little bit and then ended up on Pornhub. Go figure. That's what normally happens. So one of the characters that I created went by the Saint, and it was essentially this gimmick, and the finish was a cross powerbomb. So this was almost like it was this, and then maybe a little bit of Mordecai mixed in there.
Did you have long hair?
I actually did. I shaved it my junior year of high school, and it never fucking grew back. But I had hair down to my shoulders.
Really?
Yeah, no bullshit.
Funny.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
the Saint makes sense. I could see it.
Yep.
We should bring the Saint back.
I am the patron saint of podcasting.
Oh, that's what that comes from.
Yeah.
Wow, the lore that I'm gathering through this episode is just immaculate.
So, but yeah, no, it was one of my favorite characters to play as, and watching Bill Ever come out and do this, like, I was like, this is really cool, because this is kind of what I imagined, and he's fun, and I'm surprised we didn't see him make his way over to NXT UK for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know if it just ran its course at some point. I think is he still in progress? I think he's still wrestling around the Indies, at least in Europe. I could be wrong. But yeah, he's so I don't know how much of the backstory of this that you're aware of. But basically Sebastian and Pastor, huh? Yeah, no, go for it. Shoot for it.
So I know that there were legal ramifications for a caning that happened that Sebastian was looking for recompense for. I'm assuming he got caned by the pastor.
So these two were supposed to have a match a few chapters ago.
Okay.
But Pastor gave Sebastian a clothesline and legit knocked him out, like right away, like before the bell even rang. So it was like a legit situation. They had to like stretcher him out. It was the whole thing. But then they turned it into a storyline where Sebastian basically was like, you assaulted me. I'm going to press charges on you unless you become my servant, which is what they've been running with the past few months. But then Pastor turned on him.
Not anyway.
He has it a little backwards. Yeah, I understand. So he's basically been Sebastian's bitch, but then he had enough, turned on him, and then Sebastian's like, I'll forgive you if you come out here and take your caning, which is where this show leaves off.
Okay. And then I found out, very interesting, that apparently over there in the land of the Brits, 120 days is all it takes for the statute of limitations on an assault to just go away. Like, if it's been 120 days and you haven't done anything, and Machine Gun Kelly let us know that, which was crazy to see him, 2017 Machine Gun Kelly come down and play British lawyer.
That actually was not Machine Gun Kelly.
It looked exactly like Machine Gun Kelly.
No. You're being silly. This was Chuck Mambo, of course.
That sounds like a name Machine Gun Kelly would use as a wrestler.
It actually does. Actually, now that you bring it up, it might be Machine Gun Kelly.
I think it was.
It probably was. In canon, you know what? In this universe, it is. So Machine Gun Kelly comes out, and he has a comic book. Are you a big comic book guy?
Not so. I like the characters and things like that, but I have not read a lot of comics.
Right. I meant to note down which one it was, but he said Chuck Mambo comes out and he says that he went to the library and he went to a bunch of different sections within the library, and then he found himself in the law section. And allegedly the book that he has is a law book, but it looks like a I don't know, Fantastic Four novel of some sort. Yeah. So he says that he brings up the whole thing. I think it's 150 days or 120 days, whatever it is. But he says that after this duration, you have no grounds to press charges. Therefore, you have nothing on Pastor anymore. And also, by the way, you've been blackmailing him, which is illegal. So if anything, he has something on you. And then we're all like, oh, no, please don't do anything. And then Jim Smallman's there. He's like, let me tell you something, player. We're going to have a no DQ match here because, Sebastian already had a Singapore cane out there with him. And we're off to the races. Match starts. Impromptu match.
Fuck off, Sebastian.
They don't like the Seb. Sebi is no bueno in the ballroom, which I don't. I mean, he's just a hateable looking dude. I don't know.
Machine Gun Kelly also called Sebastian a twat, which was fun.
The delivery is like the first thing he said.
But yeah, no, the fuck off Sebastian chants were great. Sebastian tried to blow Smallman to get out of the match, but Smallman wasn't about it. I guess time had passed from the Session Moth match. He had calmed down. He wasn't prepared.
Or maybe not enough time had passed, so he hasn't had time to reload.
That could be it too. Brutal fucking chair spots. Like they're throwing chairs at each other's faces.
That's got to be way more dangerous than just hitting the guy with a chair, no?
Yeah.
Because Sebastian is tossing these steel chairs at Pastor, and the side of the chair is hitting him. I think he bled hard way in this match. I couldn't really tell, but he was bleeding all over the place, Pastor. They're fighting on the outside. Like you said, the cross power bomb from like one corner of the ring to the opposite corner throws them into the first 4 rows on the chairs. It's brutal stuff.
So what does the ring crew have to do with this story? Because they feel like the altar boys for Believer.
So whilst Pastor was the servant of Sebastian. Sebastian ordered him to be the captain of the ring crew. So he gave Pastor like those white polos, like, put this on, you schlub. Stand with the ring crew, work the ring the whole night. You're not gonna wrestle tonight. So I guess, Pastor built a relationship with this ring crew, and
as
Sebastian
pastors do with young men.
Right. So yeah, when you put it that way, with all this context put together, it's a little rough, and it doesn't get any better as this match continues. So yeah, so the ring boys, I'm not gonna call them that. Boy howdy, the ring crew, the guys in the polos. Pat Patterson was there. It was crazy. The ring crew's there. They stop Sebastian from trying to leave, and this allows Pastor to get the advantage here. They set up chairs in the middle of the ring, and they have a little slap battle as Pastor is just pouring blood. At some point, Pastor gives Sebastian a crazy, sickening uranagi onto the setup chair, and the chair does not budge. She just lands right on it. Yikes. Clothesline from heaven attempt from the Pastor, countered with a low blow, and then Sebastian hits him in the back with the chair, throws more chairs at him, and none of these shots look clean. They all look like they hurt. And then the duct tape gets brought out, which I don't know if this is the way to go, but Sebastian tapes Pastor's wrists to the top rope, in the shape of a T, let's say.
And we've seen something like this in the past before. This is something along this lines is the reason why Kurt Angle didn't go to ECW.
And that explains why Kurt Angle was not on the show, actually.
Yeah. So maybe this spot was why my and honestly, talking all the shit I am about pastors and things like that and making the jokes, I did really like Believer. I did like the character and everything, like I said at the beginning. So maybe, some of this was why he didn't get called over, because of the gimmick. And who knows? It
could be. I mean, this is the best performance I've seen from him since I've been watching all this stuff. And like both these guys are still new. Yes. Honestly, most of the stuff with this storyline has been not that great. But this, if this was a blow off, which it kind of seems like it was, I thought it was really good.
I enjoyed the shit out of this, not knowing a whole lot.
The kendo stick, by the way, Sebastian said he has a handmade kendo stick, which kind of looks like it. I believe it.
Yeah.
Smashes Pastor in the back as he's taped to the top rope, bleeding. His Pastor's back is all sliced up. The fucking kendo stick is all splintered. It's going everywhere. And the
ref tries to stop him.
Yes, known Christian Chris Roberts, the ref, is like, I don't approve of this. So Pastor tries to fight, but the duct tape kind of just gives at some point. I think the power of Christ allowed him to break.
Compelled him?
Yes, it broke the binds of these chains or whatever. So he eventually, Sebastian hits like a power bomb into a GTS, which was pretty sick. And then he goes for his twisting unprettier, but Pastor shoves him off and then hits the clothesline from heaven.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
What does?
I think shoving off in the UK.
Oh yeah, he jerked him off and then clotheslined him. It's how he distracted him. Mind games.
You did not mention my favorite thing, which was the cross power bomb into, again, like the fifth row.
Yeah, no, from one corner to the other, he like put him. Was it the fourth or fifth? I'll have to review the tape.
No, they were on the floor in the crowd, and he ran from one corner all the way down and launched him into the third, if not the fourth row, just through people. And I don't know how. Like, do you have to sign a waiver when you go to these shows that, hey, you may get hit in the face with a wrestler?
I'd like to think there's like the ring crews there to be like, hey, folks, you might want to part the Red Seas. You know what I'm saying?
Look like it.
But I think a lot of them are just like, oi, mate, I'm pissed drunk there. Throw them on me, oi, mate, oi. Or whatever they sound like.
I don't think that's right.
I think I nailed it, actually. They all sound like that. But, yeah. So, what's his dick? William Ever wins with the clothesline. Bloody Pastor. Bloody Jesus. I mean, what an image, you know what I'm saying?
No, it was a beautiful image. And like I said, the whole gimmick, the tights with, the cross and then the drapes and all that, like, I love the whole thing. It was great. Smallman then says, "Fuck off, Sebastian," and
Yes.
the ring crew,
The ring boys carry him off.
We're not saying that. Yeah,
They shove him
I
off.
thought we weren't saying ring boys. You specifically said we're not doing that, and now you're doing.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'll cut it out and post.
Okay.
So the ring boys jerk him off. I mean, carry him off.
Shove him off.
Yes. And I don't know where we go from here, but Jesus has risen, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, but boy, howdy, we get something a little less religious after that. We got Mark Andrews taking on a man you may or may not know, Swerve Strickland.
Shane Strickland.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm sorry, Shane Strickland. But yeah, I think he's like the what do they call him? He's like the international Swerve or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't
Shane
know.
International Swerve Strickland or some shit like that.
Yeah,
This was not Swerve Strickland. I think he came out to Michael Jackson. He was moonwalking.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I literally have no notes for this match. It was Mark Andrews, who's cool. I never really got behind him and what he was doing in NXT UK. Like that whole pop punk scene isn't for me. So like I wasn't a huge Mandrews fan.
Right.
I love Swerve, but again, this wasn't Swerve. The guys can go. It was a cool match, but like it was just kind of there for me.
It was, yeah. I mean, so Mark Andrews, so he's, I believe, well, he won a match to get a world title shot at some point at the last chapter. So he's like at the top of the card at this point. So I guess this is really just a way to kind of further build him up. And Swerve is starting to make, he's gaining a lot of popularity in this scene. I don't think he's in WWE yet. I think it's still a few years. Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely his like cruiserweight Shane Strickland's. It's a very different, well, not very different. His style is still very similar. Just a little quicker, I guess, and less power moves. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it was just a good match. Not like a ton of story beats, you know, underneath of it or anything. I do think this is where Swerve got the idea to do his own theme music, because I don't know if you noticed, he was vibing too. Because Mark Andrews comes out to his band's music. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, no, like, that's why I was like, I'm not big into the whole pop punk thing, really.
Junior, you know, you familiar with Junior?
I'm not familiar with. I mean, I'm familiar with what I've heard of him for his theme music and stuff, but I haven't gone and looked because they also did. He had Danny Daniels, and they had Subculture, like right there at the end of NXT UK.
Danny Daniels is somebody else.
Wait.
Danny Luna.
Danny Luna. There we go. No, yeah, Danny Daniels. Is
so when did I miss Danny Daniels?
Somebody in my search history from earlier. That's a completely different person.
Right.
Danny Luna. Yes. And Mark Andrews and somebody else. And they were Subculture.
It was a Flesh Morgan
was it?
Webster.
Oh, yeah.
They're still
Austin
fucking
fucking Powers.
Hell yeah, buddy. But yeah, you know, fun counter wrestling between these two. They do Mark Andrews does a moonsault off the ledge on the outside, which is pretty sweet. But then the finish comes when Mark Andrews goes for a poison run off the top rope, but Swerve lands on his feet, comes back, hits a spinning cyclone kick, goes for a suplex, but Andrews counters into a stun dog millionaire and then hits the shooting star press for the win. So Mark Andrews wins, and I don't know when he gets his title shot. He still has it in the bank at some point, but just a neat little match, a cozy little match this was, I thought.
Okay, yeah, it came out in 2008, so that makes sense. I was like, did Slumdog Millionaire even come out when this had happened?
He was just way ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
But Smallman then invites Swerve after the match to compete in Orlando because Progress is going to have a event during WrestleMania weekend in Orlando. So I guess Swerve will be there. So if nothing else, that was fun, I guess.
No, yeah. Smallman was like, you were awesome. We want you to come back and wrestle for us again in front of WWE talent scouts. It'll be great for your career. Why is this show, because I forgot, I had it up there at the very top, called Old Man Yells at Town?
At Cloud? I don't know. I'm assuming. I think it's Cloud. I'm pretty sure. That's the
accents, name. You know.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think it's Old Man Yells at Cloud. And I don't know who in particular was the old man at this point. Was it Vader? Was this when Vader was yelling at Ospreay and whatever the fuck?
Maybe. I just feel like they name their shows like I name my show. where it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the show. It's just some random fun nonsense.
Generally, that is, yeah. It's a lot of
appreciate
British references that are lost on me usually. So, but man, you ready to get into some origin lore?
Okay, so real quick, before you do this,
Yes,
I was not aware of who Origin was or that Nathan Cruz was a part of Origin. So the first note that I took was, oh, look, more Metallica, which this guy is not the guy. The way he looked was not the guy I expected to come out to Metallica. He looked like Blue Blood Triple H. And that did not fit Turn the Page to me as entrance music. Found out later that it's the Faction's music, not his music. And then I was slightly more okay. Right. So but turn the page.
None of them really, I would say no one in the group really fits Metallica. No, maybe Dave Mastiff, who was in the group.
Yeah, no.
So where we're at with the origin. So it was Nathan Cruz, Ligero, Zach Gibson, Dave Mastiff. They were a faction. They were a faction for years. Tag team champions, et cetera, et cetera. They were all like original Progress guys. Nathan Cruz and Ligero are actually the first two Progress champions, and Cruz referenced that in his promo. He's like, 40 chapters ago, we main evented for the world title, and now you're just a banter guy. You're a silly geese. You're a silly goose, he says to Ligero.
There's a lot of banter talk.
So now,
banter.
It's because within the origin, it's instead of the Wolf Pack, it's the origin, and then it's the origin banter edition. Banter edition is Ligero and Dave Mastiff. Crowd loves them. They loves see you were prepared. You were prepared. Banter lives matter. So, and then Nathan Cruz and Zach Gibson are the serious origins. Dave Mastiff, Ligero are the silly origins. So there's a bit of a brouhaha within the origin, which breaks my heart because I love the faction, but we're coming to a head here. You know what I'm saying? So
I love coming to what?
Me too. Shout out Al Snow. So Nathan Cruz comes out to Metallica, of course, like you mentioned, the traditional music for the origin. And then Ligero comes out to also turn the page, but I guess Bob Seeger is what you said, right? Yes,
Bob Seeger's turn the page.
I couldn't really gather who it was, but that was just so not a wrestling song, but it worked for some reason. Obviously,
it worked because he was trolling, which I appreciated. Like,
yeah.
I also blame Ligero for Axiom. Now, if you guys listen, Nathan Frazier, great. As a wrestler, A-Kid, great. I hate Axiom. I hate the gimmick of Axiom, even though they've toned down like the mathematics and bullshit. But like, I feel like British mass wrestlers, Ligero is to blame for it. So I blame Ligero for the fact that I have to put up with Axiom.
That's fair. And Ligero, so he gives Jim Smallman some notes for the introductions. And he says that Nathan Cruz bought his suit with his Rosebud money. So I guess Nathan Cruz was a Adam Rosebud recently, which is a funny piece of I didn't notice at the time, of course, but then the match gets underway. Or I guess first Nathan Cruz, he brings up, like I mentioned, 40 chapters ago, they were main eventing for the world title. And Nathan's like, don't turn your back on the origin like these people turn their backs on you. And then Ligero literally turns his back on Nathan Cruz, which is a bit of a dumb move, I think, because this allows Nathan Cruz to attack him from behind, and we're off to the races. Pretty solid match. It was definitely more of a lot of the matches so far have been kind of, I guess not a lot of the matches. The previous match was very high flying and fast paced. This was more of a traditional wrestling match, but very heavy on story. I don't know what you think of it.
So back to Ligero a little bit. One, he thinks that Origin got together so that they could fuck each other, is what I got from what he said.
Yes, they did. They all fuck each other is the thing. Yep.
But I think the reason Ligero works for me in a way that Axiom doesn't is the gimmick gives him the license, kind of like Orange Cassidy, where he can do silly shit but still go when he needs to in the ring, and that makes it a little more entertaining. Like he dumped candy in the middle of the ring like it was thumbtacks.
Devastating.
Sweets. There was a Nathan, you're a cunt chant, which again, love the chants. But the match itself, like you said, story heavy. The guys are still good wrestlers, and I'm not one of these. I don't, I appreciate, even though I've only followed the story through listening to you talk, I appreciate the matches building on story more so than I do like a no story banger of a fucking match. Like, it's cool to watch, but I like lore and all of that. So getting it from you here and listening to your previous chapters months ago, I forget some things.
I do too.
In between,
yeah.
And sometimes you do like 4 chapters at a time, so all by yourself. But
little bukkake.
I enjoyed it, and like I said, Ligero made it fun. Nathan is going to be the kind of the straight guy that Ligero's playing off of, doing some silly shit, having some fun, and he's getting pissed off, and it works for what it was, and I enjoyed it. Right. So.
Yeah, Nathan's always been like the straight guy because Progress, I mean, there's a lot of the silly shit, especially in the early chapters. It was really heavy on the comedy. And Nathan was like that, he stood out because he was such like a straight-laced guy and he was a good heel. First ever Progress champion. So the early days, he was the guy, and he's still around. He's still doing it. So, it was solid stuff here. And then ultimately, so Nathan hits his show stolen finisher. Ligero kicks out. Begins to hook up, and then he catches Nathan off the second rope with a cutter, then a splash for a 2 count. So we're heating up towards the end. And then Ligero gives Nathan the old thumbs up, thumbs down, goes for a kick, thumbs up his ass, and then he beat him with a thumb up the ass. No. Nathan misses the kick, or he ducks the kick, goes for the figure 4, posts Ligero against the ring post, his leg. So he attacks the leg of Ligero, and then tries to lock in that figure 4 again. But Ligero counters with a small package, or medium-sized package, whatever you want to call it. And gets the 1-2-3 kind of out of nowhere. So Ligero wins. But Nathan comes out on top, I would say, because he attacks after the bell. Nathan does. And he rips off the mask of Ligero, which, as far as masks go, probably the easiest mask to rip off. I mean, there's horns right there. You got handles. You're just asking to get it ripped off, but
those handles are for something.
What are they for?
Blowjobs.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was thinking the opposite, but
yeah.
And then Nathan, because
it's hard during this. Wait, hold on. You were thinking that. Listen, it's hard to reach all the way up front, grab, and then like you're pulling the head back. That's not good for the neck.
Who cares?
You should care. Take care of your.
And in the moment, I mean, you're biting, you're slapping, you're punching, pile driving. I mean, horn pulling is the least of the concern, I would think.
Mask comes off,
and then I come off. No,
they threw a towel to cover his face, which was very nice. You
can't see his face. He's a luchador. It's sacred.
Is he though?
All that
is he really a luchador?
From where in Mexico do they bill him from? San Pacho, Mexico, or some stupid shit. It's probably not a real place. But let's see, he comes out because Ligero during the whole match is doing the thumbs up. That's like the sign of the banter origins. Like everybody's doing the thumbs up. They're waving their hands with the music. That's how they show support for Ligero. And then Nathan Cruz walks out with the mask around his hand with the thumb sticking out of the eye, which I thought was a funny bit of imagery there. So
there you go.
Good stuff. Turn the page is what I say. But let's turn the page. Yes?
That was 2 hours of this show. There are 2 matches left, and there is still an entire hour left of this show.
Yes. Most of it is Zach Gibson trying to talk, I think.
It really was.
Which is fun. So both those guys in the last match came out to turn the page. Next match, Here I Am. It's the same fucking song. It's another Origin guy.
On
Zach Gibson.
Also, like, it's about like long hair, which Zach Gibson does not have. So, like, again, does not fit the song.
Not on his head.
Is it woman? Is it man? That whole line. He's like, yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I mean, you're bald as fuck like me. Don't sit here and play.
Maybe he did used to have long hair. I think he was on like the first chapter and he had long hair, which is
him and me. And I'm guessing he had the same problem I did. You shave your head one time and it just doesn't fucking grow back. Same.
Everybody calls you like kind of the Zach Gibson of
they
wrestling, of the podcasting. So
no, they do not. Let's not do that.
I hope not, because these people were not big fans of the Gibber.
They don't like me either, so I guess it's true.
You're more of a Jack Sexsmith, I think. You're closer to that.
Oh no. We
I
do
think
know
you're
who-
exactly the same. Huh? We do know who? Oh, fuck, dude.
Listen,
damn it.
Kyle, if there is one person that is a Jack Sexsmith, Jack Sexsmith stole everything he has from the Rack, even Mr. Kako. Now, I will give him credit because the Rack called him Mr. Racko, but same idea, same thing. But yes, no, Jack Sexsmith came to Chicago, Illinois, saw the Rack perform in Matt Ritter's backyard and said, I'm going to make that famous. He did not, however, outside of the Indies and Britain, but he did his best. And if he had been the Rack, he would have been an international superstar. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, finally the Rack has come back to the Apron Bowl. Hello, beautiful.
All right. So
this man is going to put a condom on his hand. If you didn't think I was coming for a man with a condom on his hand, I don't know what you were thinking.
Oh, I knew you were coming for it. Were you a fan? Did you catch what his finishing submission move was called?
Mr. Kako.
Well, so Mr. Kako is the general condom on the fingers.
Okay,
right. He'll do the mandible claw. It'll be just like that's Mr. Kako. But he had Gibson in a crossface at some point. Stuck his condom fingers in his mouth. That is called the Crippler Cockface.
Ah, yes. Also familiar with that one. The Rack has used that many a time.
Yes, that's the scuttlebutt on the street. Is that you're just constantly crippler cockfacing people.
However, he is performing it wrong. So what you do is you take the penis, hard and erect, and you place it in the mouth. You hold one base of the shaft, and then you hold the head with the other hand, and then you use that as you lean back.
Wait, hold on. You hold first of all, one base. How many bases do you have on your penis?
No, so the base of the penis, by the balls, one hand. The head with the other hand. And the middle part of the shaft between the base and the head goes in the mouth. And then you use that to crank back.
You see, I don't have
proper execution.
I can't go double hand on it. I don't know about you, Rack. I can get maybe 1.15 hands on it. But that's just, different strokes for different folks, I guess, so to speak.
Well, it's the shortest stroke for different folks. That's okay.
Yes. Well, Sexsmith, first of all, in the ring introductions, he's billed as 17.3 inches, which is, I don't know if that checks. I mean, he was wearing pajama pants, so maybe it's hidden in there. Maybe it's tucked in, taped down, perhaps. I have a hard time believing that. Your thoughts, Rack?
I'm more interested in Jack Sexsmith's entrance because now he comes out as the pansexual, and unfortunately, the Rack had to do some, investigations and see that he was also accused in the speaking out movement, which we do not approve of. The Rack is big on consent, and that was where my concern was because he was kissing and licking crowd members on the way to the ring. And I don't, again, were there consent forms? Is this something that you just agree to when you walk in the arena to possibly be licked by a sexsmith? And where do I sign the consent form?
The pansexual phenomenon, Jack Sexsmith?
Yeah, no. Other than that, I mean, it is Zach Gibson, who is a beautiful bald man. Not fantastic orally, but in the ring he can go. Jack Sexsmith is again just a Rack ripoff, but good on you for making it work. You did your thing. Very proud of him. So I was engorged and entertained the entire match, Kyle.
Even when Jack Sexsmith lost, or was that when you climaxed?
That's when I climaxed. I mean, listen, again, it is a cheap imitation of the Rack. So he was not going to.
So win. He deserves it, right?
He did.
He deserved that brain buster on the wooden floor. He's like, yeah, fuck that guy. He's a trademark.
He should have. He should have shoved me off instead of ripping me off, and then maybe we could talk about him winning some matches. But he did not.
I mean, that's a T-shirt. Shove me off. Don't rip me off, or something like that. We could workshop it, but as long as I get a cut. Well, nobody shoved off here. Because Zach Gibson gets the win after, he gets this whole match. Jack Sexsmith, obviously, he's much smaller. He's less proficient, technically. So Zach Gibson dominates a lot of this match until the Kako comes out and then et cetera, et cetera. But then he gets the helter-skelter on the wooden basketball floor on the outside. And then it's a count-out victory, which I thought was fun. You don't see a lot of count-outs like that, I feel like. Normally they get in at 9 and then we're off, we're back into it. But no, it's just, nope, you're dead. I'm in. I win. I like it.
We went from you saying that this was a match to just the ending really quick. Like what? Listen, I'm not a fan of this whole Jack Sexsmith guy. It's not for me. I'm sure there are people out there that like him. Zach Gibson was great. The match was fun. But Helter count out, Helter Skelter outside.
Yeah. But otherwise, you weren't even paying attention, right? You were just like, I'm not even going to bother with this shenanigans.
I mean, I watched the match. I saw the match. Like I said, there was 1 second where you were like, all right, so we're going to talk about this match. And then next thing I know, you're at the end of the match. And I don't know, like,
right.
Okay. It's cool.
Okay, Matt Storm. Amnesia kind of getting to you a little bit, but it's okay. It's all right. Or is this more of a, what's that movie? Split Personality. Split? Is that what it's called?
Split.
Did you ever see that movie?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that movie.
Is there a porn version of that movie?
Listen, Rule 34. If it exists, there's a porn about it.
I mean, if there's not an orgy adaptation of that movie, I don't know what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of orgies, we got a 6-way orgy on our hands next, folks. We got the main event. The team of Jimmy Havoc, Mark Haskins, and Flash Morgan Webster taking on British Strong Style. The team of Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bates. And the stakes are, if any, because Pete Dunne is the champion. So if anybody on the babyface side pins him or wins, I guess, they get a title shot. And if British Strong Style wins, whoever gets pinned or submitted is out of the title picture for 6 months. What do you think of that?
I mean, is anyone on British Strong Style going to challenge their friend for his title?
Well, no. So if British Strong Style, the team wins, the guy on the opposite team.
Okay.
That gets the fall. That gets that gets felled, perhaps, is the word.
Wouldn't it make more sense, like, if British Strong Style wins all 3 of those guys? Rather, because, okay, so you pin one guy, now he's out, but the other 2 can still just challenge you for your title?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a moot point, given the finish. But,
well,
you're not wrong.
Biggest note here is I know that Mark Haskins was in NXT UK. I know that name.
I don't think he was.
I know that name. I've
talked about him a lot on the podcast.
Maybe that's why. But I was pretty sure he was. And then he came out and I was like, I have no idea who the fuck this guy is.
He was in Ring of Honor for a bit. I don't know I think he might have dabbled in TNA a little bit early 2010. So that was like very different from this.
Okay, see, now the picture here that I'm looking at, that looks familiar, but I did not see him.
PWG. I don't think he was in NXT because he actually, he's just coming back from a serious neck injury. And I think that's the only reason he was not in the initial tournament for the UK. And I think if he was in that tournament, I think he'd still be around in that realm. But unfortunately, it was very bad timing. But yeah, to my knowledge, he was never in NXT UK.
I swear I've heard that name before. But
which is surprising because he's so fucking good. I don't know if it's just injuries kept him out or what, but
I was ready for someone who I knew who the fuck it was, and then I was looking at him like, I have never seen you before in my life. You do not look familiar.
Well, I had heard the name a lot before I was watching all of these. Like, I had heard the name Mark Haskins a lot, but I never watched him wrestle. So I think it's just a name that's just kind of floating out there. He's still going at it, though.
Vaguely aware.
Yes.
I just assumed he was in NXT UK. So I was like, okay, I know all of these guys. And then I saw Mark, and I'm like, I don't think I know you.
Yeah, and he was probably maybe the most popular of the bunch. Yeah. I would say, arguably. I mean, they're all pretty popular in their own ways.
They did not like NXT UK champion Tyler Bate, or as we call him, Tyler Bate here. Not a fan.
Yes. It's such a funny dynamic because, like you said, this is after the tournament. So he's currently the NXT or the WWE UK champion. He even has the belt there with him. Mm-hmm. But he was like an underdog babyface in WWE. He beat Pete Dunne to win the title. But now we're like in a different universe where they're all together and Tyler Bates a heel and he's like flipping everybody off. He's like, I'm the champion, mate. Or however he talks. This is before yoga got to him and changed his whole shtick. But it was because like
he had never started doing Pilates because
it's just all downhill. All downhill from there. So British Strong Style, they're the top faction here. Obviously, Pete Dunne is the world champion. Trent and Tyler are the tag team champions. So this is the point where they came out with the shields, dropped them, and then Tyler Bate went back to the behind the curtain, came back out with the WWE UK title. So we got the UK title, the Progress Championship, and Trent Sevens is like, oh, I wish I had a belt. There's even a point where they're ringside and they're like Pete and Tyler like clink their titles, and then they look at Trent and he's like, I don't know. But he's technically a champion. He just doesn't have a belt.
Hold on. What the fuck was his name? The guy that was supposed to be in the Shield besides Roman Reigns. That
Chris Hero?
Yes, but what was his name in NXT?
Cassius Ohno.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Trent Seven has always felt like British Cassius Ohno to me.
That's actually a pretty good comparison. Yeah.
And I feel bad for him because, like, Cassius Ohno, or however you want to refer to him, I just like to call him by his WWE name because it pisses people off. That's not who he is. So I love doing it. Very popular, but never really hit it in WWE. Even, they pushed him for so long with that spinning elbow and all of that in NXT, and it just never really took off. And I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I know there are people out there who are big Trent Seven fans, but he always just felt like a little less than Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, even though I think he's older than both the guys. Which
he
sucks
definitely is. I'm trying to look up how old he is. So he's currently 43. So this is 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
6 or 8 years ago. So he was 35 here, which is actually, I guess that's about what I thought he was. But yeah, by the time he got to WWE and by the time his name was out there, he was like pushing 40 and went to TNA after. I don't know if he's still in TNA or what, but unfortunately, when he's next to Tyler Bate, who's this young 19-year-old phenomenon, jacked legs, charisma, the mustache, everything that Pete Dunne is a star in his own right. And so unfortunately, yeah, he is kind of just the third guy, but he's I think he has a pretty decent run in progress after this. Great matches. It's very similar to Hero. Always has great matches, but is never like the top guy of a company or anything. So good shout. But yeah, lots going on. So this Haskins returned from injury, and also Webster's returned from injury. They both returned at the last chapter. And Jimmy Havoc is a former Progress champion. He wants the title back. So they all want their shot at Pete Dunne, and it kind of gets in the way of them working together during this match. There's one point where Haskins has Pete in like a Death Valley driver position. Then Havoc pulls him off. He's like, no, I want him. Then he goes for the Rainmaker. But then Webster's like, nah, I'm going to grab it. And then he interrupts the Rainmaker into a roll-up.
The Acid Rainmaker.
It's a different move. You're right.
Yeah, because it's British.
Yeah, is that British? Acid Rain? What is Acid Rain?
I think it is. It's Google.
Is that? I'm thinking of Purple Rain. That's
no, that's Prince.
Yes. Acid Rain. I think it's just a thing, right? Acid Rain. Isn't it like a band though?
Acid rain is a type of acid deposition. It is precipitation that becomes acidic due to air pollutants. It can appear as rain, snow, sleet, hail, or fog, and can also be present as acidic gases and dust particles.
Look at that. Look at also Acid Rain is an English band. It's a thrash band, but they spell it Reign. So Acid Rain.
Like Roman Reign.
Like Roman Reigns. Yeah.
So we're on the same page with the fisting.
Jerking it off.
Which is crazy to me that he gets away with that, by the way. He just sits there and mimes fisting, and everyone loves it. And no one has a problem with it.
You gotta load it up. What are you gonna throw blanks at the guy? You gotta jack it up. But yeah, this is a pretty chaotic match. Not a super long match, which it was just dense with action, which I enjoyed. Very chaotic.
It couldn't be because Zach Gibson wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Cut into their time, you think?
Yeah. We kicked off the match with 3 knees to the nuts, like British strong style. All just ran across the ring, straight up nut shots.
Right.
Knee tremblers, if you will, but to the testicles.
I think it was more of a foot trembler.
Foot trembler.
Or I guess the testicles are what are getting trembled, technically.
Yeah, but when you hit a knee trembler, it's not the part that you hit them with that's trembling.
Why is it called a knee trembler? Wouldn't it be a head trembler?
Yeah, I don't know why. I never liked the name. Really didn't.
Let's get William Regal on the horn. We got to get into this. We got to fix this. But a lot of synchronized. If you're a synchronized swimmer fan, you'll love this match because it's a lot of 3 guys doing this one move at the same time, but then getting countered in the same way, and then getting retorted with a triple move. Yes.
I wrote down the sequence. So it was triple dick punches
Right.
into triple Canadian destroyers.
Yes.
Or I guess now, because it's also a Mexican destroyer, maybe this is a British destroyer. I don't know.
Mm.
Into rolling kicks, into pedigrees.
Yes. Although only 2 of the pedigrees hit, which is an aspect that I liked. It was like the left and the right pedigree hit, but the middle pedigree, which was on Webster, middlegree, went for a he countered it with a Hurricane Rana and almost got the pin out of nowhere. So that I bid on that. I thought he might have had him there, but
Yeah.
Triple dick punches, bop and bang, or bop and wang. Come on. That's a lot of fun. Triple rainmakers, cock shots, triple finger bites. What else? What else happened? I mean, it's just a lot of apron bumps on the show or on this in this match.
We can
I mean,
end it right
all over
there.
the place. I mean,
you said the name.
I mean, there had to be like half a dozen apron bumps. I was just full chubbed watching this. Brain busters, Death Valley drivers. I think a bitter end on the apron. My goodness. I'm also a slut for the pile driver into a suplex from your partner behind you. That's what Kevin Steen and El Generico used to do back in the day. So I'm a big old juicy slut for that. What is even the finish here? So yeah, Webster goes for a springboard. Oh, there is. So Webster and Haskins both almost had the match won at certain points. Webster had that roll up that I just mentioned, and then Haskins and Bate have a pretty fun sequence within this match where Haskins gets him in his first the bridging arm bar and then the sharpshooter, which is locked in deep. Havoc tried to stop Pete from breaking it up, so Havoc was being pretty selfless because, you know, if Haskins would have tapped him out, he would not have gotten the title shot, but Pete was able to break through. We're not there yet, pal. We're not there yet.
We've gotten through the entire card.
No. We haven't even touched the finish, I don't think.
But every match has been talked about. We've made
no, we gotta get to the bell.
Okay.
This is like when a challenger for a title grabs the belt like after a promo and holds it up. They never win after that.
Prematurely cashing in the Money in the Bank is what you're telling me?
I think so. I think you're Baron Corbin in that right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you better watch out, folk.
Acid Rainmaker for the win and the bell.
All right. Well, Matthew, I'm pleased to give you the first ever to bestow upon you the golden apron. First ever apron bump. You've covered every timeline that is covered on this podcast. Progress. Done Ring of Honor's 2nd anniversary. TNA Turning Point 2005. WCW, you could read the whole thing. WCW, WWF, ECW, WWE. Every corner of the wrestling universe that is covered here. You have come on here and made dick jokes about each of these timelines. The Rack has popped up in maybe half of them.
So many.
I mean,
jokes.
BBC's everywhere. Bukaki's. Voyeurism.
Ahmed Johnson's hot, sexy, sweaty body.
Yes. Hot wives, cucks, all of it. Congratulations.
I will wear that golden apron naked and proud.
I anticipate it, and I put a little, one of those, the things that are in briefs now, a little ball separator, you know what I'm talking about?
I appreciate that.
Expect
a lot of pictures like Paige with the NXT Women's Championship.
Oh.
But of me in the golden apron.
Right. Brad Maddox is going to film it. It's going to be a whole thing. Xavier Woods is there. It's going to be a time. Well, that's Progress Wrestling, fella. Any other thoughts? Any nuggets?
Even though I cut it short just so I could make sure that you didn't try and screw me there at the end because shitty finishes. No, I did enjoy watching the 6-man tag match. Like you said, there was a lot of synchronized swimming in the match. The Rainmaker is the Rainmaker. You can call it whatever you want. It's the Acid Rainmaker, but Jimmy Havoc does a great Acid Rainmaker. And again, another guy that unfortunately looked like he was going to do some shit over in AEW, and then everything happened and faded out of existence. So, like,
and I didn't give a shit about him in AEW, but when I went back and started watching these, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty sick. But yeah, unfortunate. But I'll tell you What is not unfortunate, what is very fortunate, is the fact that everybody here can take a listen and a watch to the Smackin It Raw podcast several times a week now. Where can everybody find you, taste you, watch you, all that stuff?
We would like you to come find us at youtube.com/CreationWorld. Unless you're over on Twitch, you go to twitch.tv/CreationWorld. Or if you just want to find the audio version of the podcast, you can go to Linktree/Smackin It Raw. And it'll have the links for everything. As Kyle said, we are now 3 times a week. So you catch us 15 minutes after Monday Night Raw, whenever the fuck they decide to end the show. 15 minutes after NXT. So on Raw, it's Raw Flicks. After NXT, it is NXXT. 9:15 p.m. Central Time, 10:15 p.m. Eastern. And then 15 minutes after SmackDown, come watch us do a post show, cover SmackDown, smacking it down with Smackin It Raw. And then also not Saturday night's main event because it's just a lot of fucking shows in the week. But we will do pay-per-views. So we will be still smashing or passing pay-per-views, including the 2025 Royal Rumble, which may or may not be out by the time this is out.
This will be, hold on, let me see here. Let me do a little, yes, it'll be after the Rumble.
You guys go check out our Smasher Pass of the Royal Rumble.
Crazy that fucking Gilbert won the Rumble. It was insane. I did not see that coming.
I cannot believe it, but happy for him. It's a long time. So you guys can go all those places, and then if you like me, if you thought I was funny, or if you just want to send me dick pics or yell at me and tell me how I ruined Kyle's show, at Smackin It Raw on all socials, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok.
Awesome. Hell, man, check that out. I mean, I had the pleasure of smacking it down a couple weeks ago, so check that out if you want. And
it was nice having you back. I missed you.
I miss you. Let's make love.
In the apron.
I wonder if I could make aprons with ball pockets. What do they call them? Ball? There's a name. There's like ball satchel or something.
I mean, I guarantee you can. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Ball pocket. I don't even know how to Okay, not golf, not billiards, whatever. We'll figure this out. We'll workshop it, and then I'll caress y'all's nuts with aprons sometime down the
road. My
road,
wife is working right now, and I can't wait to go in and just see the look she's going to give me after listening to our show.
I'll send her an apron too. Don't worry. Once again, thank you to Pretty Ritty from the Smackin It Raw podcast, from Creation World, all that stuff. Appreciate you joining me, Matthew. Always a good old time tweedling your nips. First ever Grand Slam champion. Congratulations, Matthew, on this feat of yours. Hopefully the first of many. You'll be the first one in that Hall of Fame, but you'll have some company maybe sooner or later. So, do that. Follow the Smackin It Raw podcast, Creation World, all that stuff. All of this is in the description. Follow me. You know the deal. Do all that stuff. Subscribe, thumb in my belly button until liquid secretes. And I think that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys watching, tasting, all of the above. Have a blessed day. Godspeed. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.